flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Let's go out and have fun.
Roger that, Sally.
Well, hello, my friend.
Hello, how are you?
I'm happy it's Halloween week, and then I'm also happy that we're at the end of October, since it has not been your favorite thing. So I'm ready to ease into some fa-la-la and some elf stockings.
Well, don't hit me with 8 weeks of Christmas either, because you'll kill Christmas for me.
Oh my God. You know, I'm going to have to go back to that little room where God gives out co-hosts, and I'm going to have to talk to the elf that gave me your name. No, I'm kidding. So it's Halloween week. I heard your interview went very well on the news station.
I did. They actually treated us like real people, which you don't always get from mainstream media. And Todd and I'm always really critical of how I've done on an interview. But we got back in the car, and Todd seemed really happy with it. So I'll go with what he felt. But yeah, it was a good experience. And they let us talk about residential investigations, which is unheard of from mainstream media. But yeah, I had a good time. So it airs Sunday morning at 7 a.m.
Well, at some point, will you please put a link on our podcast Facebook page where we can jump into the festivities?
Well, let me watch it Sunday first and decide if I want to share it.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I might have to do a little digging. I'll provide a link somehow, some way. I mean, if it is public, no, you just let me know, but I'd love to see it. It is October 26th. We are at the end of spooky season, and we've had some really interesting topics this month. From everything dark, gory, spooky, scary. I love it. And I love that we end this month of with somebody that is very much a part of this field and on a very personal level. Would you like to introduce our guest?
I sure would. I've known our guest for a few years now. He is much more than what I'm about to describe, but these are the things he is known for. He is the owner of the Hinsdale House. He is a cast member of Ghost Finders and an all-around great human being. Nobody has a bad word to say about this guy. As a matter of fact, he gets along with everybody, and just somebody that I look up to and admire. And I got a chance to hang out with him a little bit a few weeks ago. So welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Klaes.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yay!
Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm so excited to see your face move where it's not just a picture anymore.
I know, it's good.
It is good.
Such a good
welcome to our crazy podcast. I'm trying to turn the volume down. People are saying I sound like I'm in a tunnel. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. My tech people are at the Hinsdale House. I am. I'm very
don't feel bad. Like Rob was also on doing some paranormal stuff on the local affiliate station in Philadelphia today, but they had him dress up as a pirate.
Oh boy.
He had a patch on and everything. I'm like, oh, how nice. A Viking pirate. Very nice.
That's that was honestly my biggest fear, is that they were going to have us show up and we were going to have to do some kind of gimmick, and you know how good I am with that stuff. So,
oh yeah.
But we got there and they were,
unless you're drunk, of course, then the body suits, no body suits, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I prefer onesies.
Yeah, onesies.
Yeah.
They're comfortable. You can't miss pieces of them. It's very safe, actually.
Unless you're tall, then they hug the wrong areas.
I would know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anywho, we are talking about an actual active location. I'm going to say this. I know Tim's probably like, okay, she's going to do it anyway. A lot of the shows on TV, so for the general public that don't do this or are not in this environment often, they believe everything is an actual haunting. So we know that there's a lot of stuff on TV that could be doctored up, added, edited. The thing about your location is it's the legitimate stuff that a lot of these movies and stories are based on.
Yeah, I mean,
And
people have
you ended up with the keys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's kind of neat. How
It
did
is.
how did it call to you?
Well, I mean, it was, and I know that Tim's had his own experiences there, and I think everybody kind of has their own type of experiences. But I started going there as an investigator, and it just the house basically called out to me. The first time I ever went, I had no idea about any of the history. I was told not to look any of the history up, and I came cold. And I was actually kind of upset when I found out that there was a failed exorcism in the location. But we ended up having a really positive night of interaction. All the equipment that I had brought went off. We were getting amazing EVPs, and it was just like unlike any other location I'd ever been to. So to me, to go to on an investigation and sometimes get one EVP, I felt blessed. But to go to the Hinsdale House and just have consistent, things happening that we can't explain, I felt like it was the house had a voice and it was trying to reach out to me, and just kind of continued down that path till the point where they were going to tear it down. And I had another personal experience there, like a really, really big experience that really kind of pushed me over the edge to want to try to save it. I had started researching other owners and other people that had lived there, and had found out about the older couple that lived there, the last people to live there in the 1980s, the Misnick family. And we were in the kitchen doing an EVP session, no lights, no electricity, no reason for any of this to happen, and had a K2 meter in my hand. And we filmed this, by the way. It's all on my YouTube channel. And I was just there with me and two other people, and I said, Flo, are you here? And I had the K2 meter went all the way up to 500 milligauss in my hand, and I got a jolting sensation of electricity up my arm. And I continued to have what I felt like was a conversation with her, like she was responding to me intelligently. And then when I asked her to hold my hand, I said, will you hold my hand as we go up the stairs? The K2 meter stayed lit in my hand all the way up the stairs into the master bedroom. And then I lost her when we crossed over into the room that had all the flies in the portal, supposedly. But that really stood out to me. And then synchronicities. So the next morning, the cool paranormal investigator that I was, I threw my picture of the Hinsdale House up on my Facebook page and said, this is where I investigated last night. Ha, 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 and I got a message from a lady named Jackie, and she goes, oh, that was my grandparents' old house. I said,
oh, no.
Your grandparents? And she said, Flo and Joe Misnick. And we became connected, and she's still part of the location, and she had her own experiences there when she was a kid. And I was like, that kind of pushed me over the edge, like, what are the chances of all that happening, and really looked into seeing if I could buy it. And it was almost gone. It was almost gone. It really was. And had to talk the guy into selling it to me. I had to come up with a lot of money quick. And then I had to look at a place that needed at least a good $30,000, $40,000 in upgrades immediately, and say, well, how the hell am I going to do this? Like, why am I, but it's a story, it's a good positive story about the paranormal community, in my opinion. I think as all the negative annotations that it has, it actually draws people together. It draws people together in a positive way. And a lot of people have come together and brought a lot of positive healing and a lot of light to the location. And it's changed since I bought it. It's definitely changed.
People don't believe that buildings can have actual living energy. There's a lot of times that there are people trying to sell homes and they'll bring me in and I'm like, the home is speaking to me and this is not going to end well. Like, there are things that places will absorb energy. And I find that places aren't stupid. They know who, like animals, they know who's good people's. I think what's really odd is Flo and Joe is my grandparents' names. So I just think that's creepy. But other than that, it is fascinating to see somebody that grew up in a haunted house be called to live in now, do you live in the property or you are just restoring it and you use it for events?
That's it. I don't even use it for events, really. I just use it for paranormal research. The events that we have there are based on paranormal. So I'd bring in like Tim, or I'd bring in like Dustin, Perry, whoever I bring in, and we have like a small event where newbies that are maybe just getting to learn about the paranormal, or fans of Tim, that they want to come meet him from New York that haven't been able to meet him, are able to actually investigate with the people that they look up to in the field and or learn from them. So it's what it's all about.
You made a joke. You said fans of Tim.
You have fans. You have a lot of fans.
You do.
I want to tell a real quick story here before we get too far into this. I didn't know Dan, and I think Tim Woolworth was the one that put you and I in contact.
Yes. And
had kind of put a bug in your ear, which I think is a Wisconsin saying, so I'm sorry. But it kind of put a bug in your ear and said, hey, maybe we could do a Podographs event at Hinsdale. And just want to give you a shout out. You gave us the Hinsdale House for free for a night, and allowed us to do a Podographs event there. Raised a little bit over $1,000. It was great to visit the house, and we all had experiences that night. Myself and Tim Shaw had the same experience, and then I think about 9 or 10 months later, we rented out the Hinsdale House for an entire weekend, and Mr. Klaes showed up at the house with like 5 or 6 dozen wings because it was my birthday weekend.
Aww.
And we sat around and just chatted for a while. And when I in the beginning, you always introduce people and you say the nicest things you can think of. I meant it. He's a good dude and a great friend. And honestly, I wish he lived closer than New York, but
yeah,
but a really good guy. And honestly, if you want to tell everybody, Dan, how they can get to the YouTube page, find you, and I assume you have old video or at least old pictures of the Hinsdale House, and then what it is compared to now. The amount of work you've done on that place is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way is my website, danielklaes.com, just my name.com. All the links for all my social media will be on there. The YouTube has old videos. It has new videos. Hinsdale House restoration projects on Facebook. You can find pictures of what the house looked like when I got it and what it looks like today. I mean, it looks like a worn down house about to fall over to a well-maintained farmhouse at this point. We're, it's a good, like I said, it's a positive. In my opinion, it's not all about me stepping in and buying it. It's about the paranormal community coming together and helping, and I, as an owner, doing what I'm saying. I'm taking the money and reinvesting it back into the house to fix it up and make improvements and make it better for everybody to have more positive experiences there. And as far as like events, like that, like what you're doing, Tim, like that's something that I feel like every location should just give you the location. I mean, what goes around comes around, and what you put into this world comes back at you tenfold. So stuff like that, it's a no-brainer for me to just have a positive event for positive things, and that comes around.
Yeah, I will always support you, and I will always steer people towards the Hinsdale House as long as Dan Klaes is the owner. So yeah, you did some amazing things for me, and it's my pleasure to repay that. And if you see a cat, my cat somehow got into the office and he's causing havoc.
Yay! I get to see him maybe.
I was going to say this because I just had an event this weekend at the Statler Psychic Fair, and there's always a charity that I bring in, and it's a pit bull rescue in Western New York, and they're in need of financial help. So I said that I'm going to be on a podcast in a couple of days with a guy that I think that maybe we could throw together an event and throw some money at their cause. Hopefully we can do a Podographs Hinsdale 2022.
Sign me up. You tell me what weekend. For people that don't know, Murray was part pit, and pit bulls have a huge place in my heart, and I will do anything I can for those folks.
Oh, I didn't know that. That kind of makes a lot of sense.
That'll be on. We'll put our heads together and get a date and make a good fundraiser for him.
Yeah, we'll make it happen, buddy.
Cool.
That's sweet. And I think that's why the house chose you. You know, you are a little fearless, I would have to say. You know, people that normally grow up in haunted houses don't want to pursue them all the time. But the fact that your pursuit to explore the energy and history of the location and the home is greater than your fear of what might be there. So, and I get a feeling like there is an area where there's transient energy, where it's kind of spotty. You may not always know what's coming through. But I will say that the energy, the land is very fascinating to me. There's a lot of sacred spaces, and there's a lot of spaces that are no longer sacred. So it's a powerful place, but it also feels like there's a lot of different layers of energy in the location.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been finding out. Like, there's so many different layers, and that's why I feel it's also so important to have lay people. And I'm not saying bring in a psychic, not saying just bring in one person. We had multiple different levels of people that have different belief systems working together on this property. And I think that that's amazing to be able to do that, bring people together. And that's what it needs, because it's got stories. It's from dating back to Native Americans, to witches, to stuff like that. I mean, it's got so many layers. Catholicism, that, and I think that's why that didn't work back when they had that failed exorcism, is because they focused on one aspect of some of these belief systems and not everything else that is attached to the land and property.
Yes.
And I also feel like it gives you little dangles things out in front of you. So when you're going down the right path, it's like, for instance, the right side of the pond. The pond was dug in 1969, and all the dirt from the pond was dumped over onto the right side of the pond, and it was uninhabitable. You couldn't walk on it really. Nick, when we filmed Paranormal Lockdown, he went over there and twisted his ankle because it was just so rocky, and we excavated all that dirt out of there and started pushing, and planting grass, and we were finding little pieces of artifacts, pieces of the old barn that were there. And then we ended up finding an old foundation that was buried that nobody would have known about. And it's not dating back. The maps that we have are dating back to the 1700s, and this structure is not on any of these maps. So it's pretty old, and you can tell how old it is. And it's cool. It's cool that we have that now, and that we're going to research that. And we've been getting EVPs out there. It's like we just unearthed something,
You might have, just with the Native American energy. And I feel like it's not just one tribe. Like, there would have been a multiple, almost like a conflict of interest. But you've got different layers of stuff going on. And this is what I think paranormal research is all about. It's thinking outside of the box. It's auditing. It's looking at patterns, and it's considering timelines and languages. Bob says something about Bigfoot grunting. So you are in upstate New York. So I've heard of actual sightings and experiences with the big hairy man.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. We've heard those. We've had people that have researched, Center for Cryptozoology out there, and they've had castings of feet that are huge that we can't explain. I'll tell this story. There's a guy by the name of Mike Page. He's a paranormal investigator from the Massachusetts area. I don't want to blow up his spot too much, but we were doing a camp out there, and we had Center for Cryptozoology there, MUFON, paranormal. We were doing all types of cool stuff there, teaching people through the weekend. And the hanging tree, which was part of the original property, is down the street to the right, and it was hit by lightning in 2003 and fell over. So Big Mike, he's a big dude, he's all like, I'll take the girls down to the hanging tree in the middle of the night, and next thing you know, you hear this big crack, like it just sounds like a tree's getting hit by lightning, and then you hear a tree fall over into the street. And I've never seen a big guy like this run as fast as I have. And then the girls are like behind him, like, doodle-doo, no big deal, and he's like out of breath. He's like, call the police, something's out over there, blah, blah, blah. And he's like super scared. It was pretty hilarious, actually.
Because it would have been bigger than him.
It definitely would have. But there's been UFO sightings there. We've had sightings of cryptos besides for Bigfoot, castings. We've had pictures of these creatures that have only been described to me as puckwudgies.
Could you repeat that, please?
Puckwudgie.
Yeah.
Puckwudgie?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a native cryptid that is protector of ancient burial grounds.
What? I've never ever heard of that. That is amazing.
Jeff Fent caught the first picture. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's a researcher out of Columbus, Ohio, and he helps out with Madison, all these different locations, and he actually takes wood from haunted locations and makes spirit boxes out of them, which is really cool. And he's made one for me from Hinsdale House renovation wood, and he does cool stuff with them. But yeah, he was there, and he's really drawn to the forest, and he was using different light spectrums, and he caught this creature 10 foot up in the tree that you just can't even explain what it is. Yeah, they give you legends.
I'm going to stay away far from them. It is fascinating because people hear the word paranormal and most people only think of ghosts, spirits, and it does cut out everything other than, because it's simply things that don't fit in the normal brackets other than normal. So the cryptid stuff is really, really fascinating. It sounds like there's so many different layers of stuff going on.
Right.
I know. Go ahead.
I was going to say we have to honor all of that. We can't just forget one aspect of what's going on. And a lot of what we do with the tours is explain all of the different layers and how can we honor those types of energies as opposed to how we're dealing with energies on the inside of the house and making it a positive experience when people are there learning about the place, because it definitely has that there's a demon there, like I hear that all the time. And that was what they deemed it back in the 1970s. Everything was a demon. And there definitely is something that's heavy there. It's a bastard of a energy. It might not even be human, but it's manageable. And if you stay grounded and you know what you're doing, or you're around people that know what they're doing, it's definitely, you can have a positive experience there at the house.
Well, you just hit something really big on the head. I'm sorry, Tim, as you said, stay grounded and be with people that know what they're doing. Like common sense, right? But it's not. Tim, here's the mic.
I wanted to share a quick story, because I don't think I've ever told you the experiences that we had at the house the weekend we were there. I don't think we've had a discussion about that. We didn't end up getting anything on audio or video, which was frustrating because we had experiences. When we got there, I think you've met Todd a few times.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah, and one of the things about Todd is not a lot happens when he's on an investigation for some reason. He's one of those guys that just kind of nothing happens around him. So when we got to the house, I asked him, I said, well, what do you think of the house? And he looked at me and he said, oh, it's just a house. And it was like the house was like, hey, hold my beer. So we had James Anito and Carl Johnson with us the first night. And the thing I learned about Carl is he's very stuck in his ways and he doesn't close doors. Because we went out a few times and he was the last one to get out of the house and he never closed the door.
Man, in a good neighborhood.
Yeah. But
like the real door, not like a portal door.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, just clarifying that. All right.
Fantastic guy to investigate with, and I love the experience. The second night we were there, James and Carl went home. So it was just myself, Todd, and Stephanie. And Stephanie was sitting in the living room, and Todd and I were doing something in the kitchen. And one of the things that bugs me, not spirit-wise about the house, is the fact that if a car comes down that road at night, you know their intent. Yeah. So anytime there were headlights, because you're in the middle of nowhere, you know they're coming to you. And we were sitting in the kitchen, and we did not see any headlights. And all of a sudden, we had footsteps on the porch outside, and that's before you renovated the porch. So I don't know if it's the same way now as it was, but you had a mail slot towards the top of the door to put the key back in.
Yeah, that's still the same. Yeah.
Okay. So that's at eye level for me, or about eye level. So I'm standing there listening to these footsteps on the porch. And I remember looking at Todd and saying, I hope to God this is a spirit, because if something opens up that mail slot, it is on. and all of a sudden everything just stopped, and
Wow.
the activity was done. So there's no way for us to like prove that happened, but an amazing personal experience for us at the house. And I was very relieved that mail slot did not open up and nothing looked at us.
You heard like thumps though, like walking on the porch?
Yeah. And to me, it sounded like real people, but there was no way that they could have gotten away without us knowing that they were there.
Right.
We have some questions coming in from the chat room, and I would love to grab a few of them. And I think Tammy is coming in a little later. Tammy, hello, gorgeous girl. She asks, is it only dark energy?
No, there's way, and I think that's the energy that was calling to me. There's way more positive energy on the land and the property than there is dark energy. It just needed to have a way to be heard. You know, I felt like they were saying we need to have our voices heard, and there was nobody was acknowledging them, and it was always about the failed exorcism and the demon, and it was never about like what other energies could possibly be on this property. What other stories are there? Why did the family experience this, and this back in the 70s, and nobody else did supposedly? Come to find out, a lot of people did. You know.
You're like a psychic medium for the Hinsdale House. You're like a psychic medium for the other side. It's kind of cool. You're like a ghost whisperer.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I was training with Bernice Golden. I did a podcast with her for 3 years. She'd been a psychic medium for 54 years before she passed away, and I learned a lot from her. And I learned a lot as far as my approach goes in the paranormal and how I perceive things. You know, when I'm even when I'm going to other locations, not just the Hinsdale House. So.
First of all, I want to, Darren had a great question. Do you find there's a difference at the home or the property when it's summer versus winter energy?
Not really. Besides for you know, when you go outside, you're freezing your ass off. I mean, it's for what you get what you put into it, you know? So if you venture outside and you approach things in the right way, you're going to get responses.
But upstate New York, it can sometimes be difficult to get to the home, right?
Not anymore.
No?
I mean, as far as like the deal that we have with the town of Hinsdale, they actually will plow all the way up the road to the driveway.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's good for it's good for us. We did have issues at the beginning, but now the town and the county are very much partners with the Hinsdale House. At first they did not like what we were doing, but now we're on the front page of their website and we are a tourist attraction for them, and they see what the paranormal actually brings to the community as far as tourism.
Amen.
Dollars, restaurants having food bought, and it's weekends, sometimes hotels. I mean, it's a lot. So
before we get too far into this, can you tell me about your relationship with this lady and how lucky you were to get to know her?
Clara is an amazing woman. She was also Clara Dandy. She's the mom that moved in the 1970s with her husband Phil and their kids into the house. And I have been very blessed to actually fly out to Florence, Oregon, and sit with her and talk with her and interview her and hear from her own voice the experiences that her and her family had. And a lot of what I'm doing is to give her answers, to give her peace, because she feels like the house killed her daughter. She feels like the house came back and got her son. And I want her to be able to maybe have some type of answers and understand that maybe it wasn't the house.
Right.
There's some logical explanation to maybe what happened. You can't deny some of the things that happened to them, but you can also circumvent that and maybe have her just a little bit, have her understand of what happened, you know, give her some peace of mind.
Which is why I think people should be in the paranormal field anyway, to help people. You know, it is important. This is not for the faint of heart. it's not like there's one manual, and it's not like all the manuals are right. So, it is very much unknown. And I like that you said that the Hinsdale House has kind of taught you how to look at paranormal activity a little different. How has it changed your perspective? How have you learned how to tread in active energy?
Well, I mean, for me, it's always take a step back, look at everything, and try to think logically of what's happening right now, as opposed to you deal with a lot of people that just like to shout out what they think it is instead of trying to understand what it is in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to put false connotations on things. Like, we had this happen, and it could possibly be this, or this. Let's look more into it this way to see if we can come up with an answer. And it's been able to, because you can cross your T's and dot your I's and then hopefully figure something out. If you're getting a name, or if you're getting, you look at the history and try to put it in with the history and know that there's 3 Georges. And then you focus on those 3 Georges and see if you can, come up with a last name or something that's going to give you some type of hint as to who and why they're there, and what do they have to do with being there. I don't know. I always, before I react, I always take a step back and kind of look at everything and suck everything in, and then try to come up with a conclusion. And that's what the house has helped do that for me, because of the way things are, because you can't just, you just don't want to put fake information out. That's kind of like,
you are correct. Yeah, I agree with you.
You've done a little bit of TV here, sir. And a weekend ago, I got to meet some of the cast members from Ghost Finders. By the way, had a great conversation with Rob. Fantastic meeting all of you. And of course, I've known you for a while now. I don't want to let this hour go by without giving you a chance to talk about how you've applied what you've learned through the Hinsdale to what you do with Ghost Finders and your investigative style, and how the whole team works together, because they all seem like fantastic people.
Yeah, I mean, the Ghost Finders to me was different. Like, I have teams that reach out all the time that want to film or do their YouTube show or whatever. And Rob reached out to me about potentially filming the Ghost Finders, and I had actually watched some of their stuff, and I thought, bring them out. And he asked me if I'd come and do an interview with them. But the thing that stood out to me when I finally got to the Hinsdale House, they were there, is their professionalism, their approach to things in a positive way. Having an eclectic witch on the team, to have her do a ceremony to open up those gates and open up those doors of positiveness and love. When you're giving your intentions, to let the energies know that you're there in peace and love, and just want to know stories and understand things that are happening there. It just I really liked the idea and the precedence behind what they were doing. And I came, I liked it so much that I was like, Rob, go to this location. Here's another location. And I kept giving them locations to go to them. And because I wanted to see how the team would do at some of the locations that I worked with and were friends with. And it got to the point where he's like, Dan, because Brad, who was an investigator on the team, was following his dreams, doing house sales and stuff like that. And it was just getting super busy for him. So he dropped out of the team, and he asked me to join the team. Now, I have my own team in Buffalo, and I didn't know. Like, I was like, okay, I've got my team, and now do I do this or don't? I was really contemplating, do I want to be on another team where I have to like deal with multiple personalities? Because I was kind of like a loner for a while, like just kind of doing my own thing, and you get used to just being able to not have to answer to people. But when you're on a team, you have to work together. So, but I decided to do it. I decided to do it, and we become really, Rob's like brother that I can tease all the time and joke around with, and he's grown, and Megan, and then we brought Melody Knapp in, and I'd known her for like 6 years, and we knew how to work together, and the team itself just covers all the bases of an investigation as far as spiritual and technical, because I bring a technical side to it, and I utilize a lot of equipment and work that way as opposed to the way that the other ones work. So it's interesting, when you watch the show, and kind of see our approach to the way that we do things. Of course, no big national television show will pick that up, but we do what we do, and we have fun doing it.
Well, where can people find the show?
We are on Quasm, which is the old Vidi space. We are on Paraflix now. We just started throwing the stuff on Paraflix. Episodes are on Amazon Prime currently, and they're free. And we also have our own Roku station called the Spirit Channel. So if you have a Roku, you can download the Spirit Channel, and they're free to watch on there. YouTube, all the other regular. We released one on Facebook Watch a couple weeks ago. Any way we can get it out there, we throw it out there. So
yeah, we will share some of those links on the podcast page so people can go creep around and watch your stuff. There's a great question that kind of jumps off or piggybacks off of you using a lot of equipment. What is your favorite technique and or gear to use in the house, and has anything ever backfired on you?
Yeah, just a few months. So my favorite all-time box that I have is called the Geo box. It was made by Taylor Brown, and it's not a portal. It's not, I'm not like connecting through Bluetooth with an app. It's an actual scanning radio that uses a vibrational field. It's like a coil on the inside. I know how this whole thing works, and it's bringing out these voices, and there's a noise condensing unit on the inside. So all it's doing is helping to get rid of that white noise that you're hearing and toning out the voices that you're hearing. And I've had such amazing results with this box. I love this box, and I've actually had to send it for tune-ups many times. I've had it since 2015.
Wow.
And he always fixes it. But I was in the house, and I was just, I was there doing a live. My friend Rosa was there with me, and I was live on Facebook, and I had the camera on the Geo box, and we were asking questions, and all of a sudden I started hearing this voice coming through, and it was Bernice. And she had always said, she wasn't mobile. She couldn't get out there. She couldn't get to the house, how she wanted to come to the house. And it was like her confirming through the box. I mean, she comes through all the time in my head. I hear her in my head all the time, like, Bernice, shut up. I don't want to look like a crazy guy here, but she came through on my portal, and it just kind of reaffirmed what I was doing. She came through, she was swearing, and I'm like, oh my God, Bernice. And her husband actually got in contact with me after I did that, and he just confirmed. He goes, yeah, that was Bernice. Then she said things that only made sense to me. She said things to the viewers to let her know that was her, because she just loved going live. She loved helping people. She loved giving healing messages to people, and that's what she lived for. And to be able to just come out like that, it was awesome for me. So I guess if that's a backfire in a way, at the house, but it happens, when you don't always get spirits at the location you're going to. People bring energies with them. So
right.
She's with me.
That's sweet.
What are some of your favorite stories you've been told by folks that have visited the home?
It's cool. Like, I've had stories of people seeing a witch in the back. They've captured pictures of her, which I've never done. I've never been able to capture a picture of a witch, but there's definitely stories of witches getting burned at the stake, and that date back to the house to like the 1700s, 1600s, and that's kind of cool. The pictures that they showed me. It's cool when people don't read the books, because I have everybody sign like a book, like it's a bed and breakfast, and put down their experiences that they have there. And it's cool when I can see like a team get like a picture of a shadow person in the kitchen, and I can go back and reference like 4 or 5 pictures and other teams that experience the same thing, reconfirming that that's something that is probably a hot spot, the front door in the kitchen where people are capturing shadow figures. There's been so many different things. There'll be sometimes people say the house is quiet and we've got stuff in the forest, or we got stuff out by the pond. Another cool thing that people have captured is this woman in white out by the pond, dancing around the pond, and that's been documented back to the 70s. This white. So it's really cool when people experience different things.
Karen wants to know if you are experiencing new situations, anything new. Karen,
Yep.
do you mean like an activity?
Well,
I'm going to let you answer that intuitively.
yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's always new. Sometimes we're getting new energies there, and I think that there may be something that has to do with maybe a portal there of some kind, because we do get energies that we can't really correlate with any of the history, but maybe it's something that we just have to find out about still as well. There's names that we've gotten that we can't explain why, but many teams have gotten those names. And as we uncover new things, as we uncover new things, we're getting new experiences and new situations, just like with the foundation. It's all new. And maybe that woman in white lived there. Maybe that, so there's it just opens up the door to so many different perspectives of what could possibly be this energy around the pond that everybody's capturing. Because the pond wasn't there originally either. It was a barn there.
You're dealing with 200 years worth of energy. I mean, just think of a house or more. Just think, forget even before the house was on the property. Think about moving into your house in the 80s. Just think of the crap that's come and gone in the last 40 years. Right. So, if those walls could talk, what different rooms were used for what. Plus, the hardest thing about, and I want to ask you two questions. First of all, the hardest thing about intuition is your messages are as good as the note keeping in that day, or the record keeping, or the bookkeeping, and the safety of that data, because if there was a flood or a fire, a lot of that stuff's gone. And then second, you rely heavily on equipment, but you are also clearly incredibly intuitive, very clairaudient. For you to hear Bernice is kind of funny. But where do you find that the line blurs? Because science still has not, completely proven the existence, where we all can agree, of spirits or paranormal activity.
Well, I mean, for each person, it's going to be different, So, I understand that, and I think that it's a personal journey for everybody. So, where science is lacking, hopefully, there's going to be new people that are interested in this field, that are getting into the field, and I see this happening. Scientists, different types of engineers that are getting involved and coming up with new ideas and new ways to possibly come up with some type of evidence. I think we're getting to a point now too where people are relying too heavily on ITC. It's and I'm an ITC guy. I love it, but it's I think that you can't have a whole investigation with a spirit box. You gotta find other things as well to correlate that with the data that you're collecting. That's the big thing that people don't. I don't hear that word enough. Data, collecting data. Where is your data after you're done with an investigation?
Right.
Is it just reviewing your video and then your EVP and that's it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you collecting the temperature? Are you collecting the how it is outside, the barometer? What could possibly be making this happen? Is there a logical explanation as to why? And to each their own. I do things my way. I don't tell people how they can and can't investigate, and I just like to be able to say at the end of the day, I looked at that aspect of what I've done, and it's a personal journey. It's a personal journey for me.
It's like being a spiritual detective.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important, the intuitive aspects. I don't think people realize how much of what they do is so intuitive. And the intuitive aspect of working cases or trying to identify what is paranormally happening is such an integral part of getting evidence, even knowing which area feels heavier, or, I just find that fascinating. So I love that you open your property up for the research aspect of it. It's
Yeah,
very
that's-
important.
as long as I own it, that's all it'll be used for. You know, I don't think anybody's going to live there.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, and there's also times where I let the house rest. You know, I give it a vacation in a way sometimes because it needs it. It needs to have that rest because you have so many different energies coming in trying to communicate with what's there. It needs to rest for a while, and that usually happens in the wintertime.
Speaking of so many energies coming in and trying to communicate, do you have issues with teams coming in and doing things that you don't want them to do?
Well, I don't really put limitations on teams I don't want provoking, you know, and I make that clear. I speak to every team that gets booked there personally. Like, they have to call my number. If you want to book the Hinsdale House, you're going to speak to me. You're not going to book it on a forum online and just pay $400 or $300 and show up and get the keys. Like, I need to speak to the people that are going to be there. I need to kind of understand what their approach is and what their goals are for coming there. And once I understand that, you know, I let them know about what my goals are and how I want to keep that kind of going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't deter people from doing things like Ouija boards, or if they understand what they're doing and they know how to open and close something like that. I'm not against any type of communication there. It's just I don't like treating the energies there like they're pieces of shit. You know, like it's not going to happen. So don't come there to think this is going to be a fun house.
I guess as a follow-up question, do you feel a sense of a responsibility to protect the house?
I do. I feel like I was everything fell into place for me to purchase it. Kind of like the same thing with Clara, you know, like when she went to go buy the house, she feels like the house picks the people that come there. And I feel like the way everything fell into place for me to buy that house, I had just bought a new home for my family. I needed to come up with 10 grand. There was a lot of fixings that needed to be done with the house, like a new roof because it had black mold throughout the kitchen, 500,000 honey on the floor. So I mean, it had definitely some things that needed to be addressed before I could even, you know, with my vision of having teams coming there, you know, like I had to get the black mold out of there. I had to get the 500,000 honeybees out of the wall that were swarming every night. And, you know, so I mean, there was a lot that needed to be done, but like I said, because of the paranormal community and the support and the people that came out, we were able to get the things accomplished to stabilize it that first winter, and we've just been improving since. You know, it's patch jobs turned into doing it the right way, you know, fixing it and you know, spray foam, and then we'd get the real insulation put in a year or two down the road when we could save enough money to do it. So it's just baby steps getting it done the right way. I know I went off track with your question, but it's just you know.
No. I'm just following along. It fascinates me. You know, first of all, not many people listen intuitively to where they're called, and second, most people don't know what to do once they're there. So. Yeah. You know, it's very much like, well, this is my mission. Click. You know, it's pretty powerful, and I love that you are involved with animals, especially pit bulls.
I'm involved with anybody that has, like, I seem to surround myself with people that have a lot of passion, you know, for things. Yeah. And I do psychic fairs, and I'm attracted to people that do healings, that are healers.
Yes.
I've dated so many nurses and people in the medical field, and I'm like, I thought about it after. I'm like, nurse, you know, I'm like, why? You know, like, I think I'm just drawn to people like that, you know, and it's the earth needs more of it.
Agreed.
More positiveness and healing.
I agree.
Look at her get up in her picture.
Michelle, I can't see it so tiny.
She's got a Hinsdale House mask on, and she's got the Hinsdale Crow t-shirt on.
Sweet.
Yeah.
She's totally repping you. She's great.
She's a big supporter. She's been around for a long time. She's from California, and she's flown to the Hinsdale House, and she always helps out when she can, and she's a good soul.
Michelle, are you doing safe out there in California? California's kind of showing its ass lately. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like having a little temper tantrum. So all of our California viewers and listeners, we're thinking about you. And the earthquakes in Alabama, like what the hell? Have you had any major or historical weather issues on the property?
The account for the lightning that came out of nowhere in 2003 and hit the tree. That's the story that's told about the hanging tree. It was a nice sunny day and a bolt of lightning came down and hit it and it fell over into the ditch.
Wow.
I don't know, but
yeah, for those that haven't been to the Hinsdale House, the land around that house is absolutely beautiful. Speaking at as a guy that lives in Wisconsin and everything is flat. The first time I went out there, I didn't realize we were in the middle of mountains. I don't see anything but cow pastures here and roundabouts. That's what we have in Wisconsin. But just the area is beautiful, and I fell in love with the area. We were out there in the middle of COVID, like when we were about 2 months into it, and there were a lot of restrictions, and but the people in that area could not have been nicer to us when we went out to get food, and just a great area. I have a lot of respect for upstate New York. Good people there.
It's beautiful.
Looks can be deceiving, though. That's the thing too. Like, I've made the property look beautiful again. Like it looks nothing like when I first got it. Like it was 4 foot high grass all around, and we've been taking back the land little bit by little bit every summer, and we have about 5 acres now of the 10 uncovered, and I think it's good. There's a path that goes to the other part of the 10 acres, but I know the fields are good for the deer too, so we want to leave the deer.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out all the time. It's funny, once we found that the foundation, they're always, when I get there, they're always like in that area grazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're like the spiritual Pied Piper. I love it.
Don't give me any more nicknames, please.
Yeah.
That's spiritual Pied Piper. Here we go.
The Hinsdale Pied Piper. I'm gonna get you a flute. You'll make a lot of Native American friends out there. Tim, did you have any last minute questions I know that you've gotten to investigate with him. I have not yet. Hopefully there will be an event or something that brings us together and we could get all intuitive. But do you have any other questions?
I have not investigated with Dan.
You have not?
No, when we had the Potographs event, Dan had another obligation. And then when we rented out the home, he just came to visit us for a little while. So hopefully in 2022, we get a chance to do this.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I want to give Dan a chance to I'm sorry, I was talking over you. I didn't hear you, Dan.
No, I said we've been at quite a few events together as well.
We have, yes. And a lot of stories from that we can't talk about.
True.
Yeah. So
Rose is in the chat room.
She is.
Yeah.
There was a table involved and and a lion onesie. Everything was appropriate before people jump to that conclusion. But I want to give you a chance before we sign off here to let everybody know again how they can get in touch with you and book the Hinsdale House, where they can go to get more information, that type of thing.
Yeah, so it's danielklaes.com. It's scrolling at the bottom of the page there for anybody that wants to find me. You can Google my name, my phone number will pop up, or my website will pop up, and just reach out. We also have another amazing location. My friend Lori Wagatha purchased a few years ago. It's a sanitarium in Salamanca, which is about 30 minutes down the road. So we've been co-marketing the locations together for teams, which makes it more appealing for people to come from farther distances. So they can investigate 2 locations on a weekend or something like that. But it's an amazing old sanitarium, an old tuberculosis hospital that we are renovating right now and getting that back into shape and utilizing that the same as a paranormal research center.
Oh, I love it. It's fascinating, and I do think I may have to take an upper state New York trip. Plus, Lily Dale's up there, and I worked in Casadega.
That's right in between.
So I love it. It's like all my sister psychics are up there. We may just come around the pond and do a little dance. No, I'm kidding. So I know Tim's like, don't do a dance. We'll summon something. No, Daniel, I want to thank you so much for taking your time and jumping on here and helping us all escape reality. I really appreciate your intentions and your efforts in the paranormal field. You know, you're an empath, and I think that is the passion that drives you, and we need a lot more of that in the field, in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Tim, I'm glad to see your face again.
Yeah, it was. This was a fun show. It's always nice talking to Dan. He's a good guy, and again, I'll echo the sentiments. Thank you for taking an hour out of your time and talking with us and giving everybody some information on Hinsdale. I see some people saying they're going to call you, so hopefully they follow through on that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for all the viewers, thank you guys. It was nice to meet Miss Michelle out in Cali. Billy, Kelly, Aaron, Pete, Bob. I feel like it's, our little romper room. I hope you all have a very happy Halloween. Dan, are you a Halloween guy?
Oh yeah. You can see my front of my house. Not the Hinsdale house, my family home.
Yeah.
We go all out.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. I'm going to send little mysterious Halloween gnomes to Tim for the rest of the year. They're going to show up around his property. All right, guys. Deb, I love you. Julie, I love your face and your son. Dave, thank you for being here. Pam, Tina, we want to thank you for being here. Please subscribe to our channel, share this goodness, and we will see you guys next week as we roll into the month of gratitude. That's kind of great.
It'll be the day after the Day of the Dead.
Will it really?
You should have Tim paint his face with the skull. No. Okay.
I want to get more stuff in here so I could be like ba 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 ba, kind of like this. All right. Come.
Is it time to go already?
It's time to go. Oh my gosh. It is All Hallows Eve, Eve. I hope you all stay safe. Please check your candy for razor blades. And I'll talk to you guys later. I love you.
Bye, guys.